Hello everybody. As petrol heads, it seems an almost inescapable part of the lifestyle that you will sit there for hours on end wondering about all those cars you wished you could have bought if only their manufacturers had had the decency to make them. And so you start thinking about all of those cars that you would love to build. If only you were the Sultan of Brunei, you'd have them commission a special one-off with the body style you want that they never made. Or you'd have them take that gearbox from over there, put it with this engine over here and create your perfect beastie. And it would appear that we are now at a turning point, because an increasingly large number of people are saying, you know what, I'm no longer interested in the latest and the greatest, this week's shiny new thing. Instead, I'd rather take my money and spend it on building this thing that I have been lusting after for so very long. And this is how companies like Singer have come to be, because there is a market out there of people who will happily spend, in some cases, a lot of money on building that thing that to many people might look like something you could have got off the peg, but to them is the car of their dreams. And today marks the beginning of a project like that for me, only on a considerably more modest budget, because I am going to be building my perfect Porsche. But what I'm using as a base is not a 911. You want to know more? Stick around and I'll show you what I've got after the credits. Feast your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, on my 2005 987.1 Porsche Cayman S. 3.4 litres, 6 cylinders and 6 speeds of perfection. This is a car that I have always had a bit of a thing for. When they were relatively new, my dad had one. Later, when I worked at a Porsche independent, I got to drive one and loved it. And then 10 years later, when as a YouTuber, I drove one, I loved it. To me, as a road-going car, these are absolutely brilliant. And for a very, very long time, I've thought about buying a Cayman. But many reasons have got in the way over the last few years until I decided it was time that I had to have one for myself before everybody else realized what a good car they are. And for this slice of Germanic perfection, what have I paid? Well, £4,300. Yes, you did hear that right, £4,300. Now, as you can probably see, it isn't in the best condition. It is also in just about as plain a spec as you can possibly imagine. In fact, I think the options list for this car is climate control. That's about it. There's no extended leather, there's no sporty seats, there's no Bose, there's no sports chrono, there is no nothing. It is not on super high mileage, it's got about 87,000 on the clock. It is on relatively high owners, I think I'm about number 11 or so, but there is one very good reason why I got this car for way less than any other you've probably seen. Yes, you've probably by this point guessed what exactly my devilish plan is. And just in case you haven't and you're not sure what on earth is going on, these cars and the Boxsters and 911s of the day are very famous for a few well-known issues, including bore scoring, which this is almost certainly suffering from. And that is why it's got such prodigious oil consumption. This afflicts a lot of these cars. In fact, depending on who you ask, anything from a few of them to almost all of them. And there is no easy fix for this. Say what people on the internet might, once this has set in, you are never ever going to fix it with anything short of an engine rebuild. And the place to get an engine rebuild done is Hartech. And as it happens, I got to visit Hartech not all that long ago. They showed me around their workshops and taught me through all of the stuff that it is that they do when they do an engine rebuild to make sure that this problem will never happen again. More than that though, if you do have a rebuild by Hartech, you are given a number of different options, including oversize rebuilds. So this car starts life as a 3.4, but Hartech will happily take it to 3.9. But for some customers, apparently, this is not enough. And by some customers, what I really mean is mostly Americans, for whom only the biggest, best, fastest, and most expensive will do. And because this engine is fundamentally the same as that goes in a 911, you can also do the same upgrades as you would to a 911. And the ultimate evolution of this engine that Hartech offer is a 4.1 litre conversion. But to date, nobody in Britain has it in a Cayman. Now, as soon as Hartech told me that, I knew I had to make this happen. So the search began for a car that would make a suitable donor, and this one turned up in very short order. It was previously owned by a lovely chap called Anthony, who had it for a couple of years and paid good money for it. He then sold it to his brother-in-law, and at some point somebody worked out it was drinking a fair old bit of oil. They took it to the Porsche dealer, who looked at it and went, "Oh, that's, yeah, you know what came next, didn't you?" And so, yeah, it went up for sale, and I have bought it with the promise that I'm going to keep him updated as to everything that happens next. So what is going to happen next? Well, as soon as we can organise it, and they've got a space in their schedule, this car is going to be collected and taken from my storage unit over to Hartech in Bolton, where I will accompany it, and we are going to strip it down and find out exactly how bad it is. We will then be making a plan for what to do next with not just the engine, but the rest of the car. And naturally, as this bit is going to be given a very significant boost, I want to make sure that the rest of it can keep up. This is already an excellent package, but I want to make it a sensational one. And my aim is to make something that can, on the road, match the feel, the interaction, and the excitement of a Cayman GT4, but for half the money. So all in, I've got a budget of about £30,000, and I've already spent 4 of it. This is going to be rather exciting, and I'm hoping that all of you out there that know about these cars and have maybe tried to experiment with different suspension, brake setups, and various other modifications can maybe get in touch and give me your advice. If you happen to have a business that deals with these cars too, even if it's on, say, the bodywork side, because I do want to make this look a little more interesting than it does, I would love to hear from you. I love to support businesses that have supported me. And genuinely, my only regret is that I can't take this car out now and show you what it's like, because I know these are just wonderful things. However, that is going to have to wait until after the rebuild. So if you want to keep updated on every episode of my journey to build the perfect Porsche, don't forget, hit that like button, make sure you subscribe, tick the bell icon so you'll be notified of every new video, and I will see you for the next one. Bye bye.